dead cops. Those words hung in the air at a protest about a week ago. A group of protesters marching the streets calling for murder. So does the shooting of two NYPD police officers prove that kind of rhetoric has deadly consequences? Joining us now, Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson, Jr. Peter, so the question is, what's the line between free expression and incitement of violence?
Well, words do have consequences, and words can result in death and in murders. However, the First Amendment under the Brandenburg case makes it clear that there's a very high standard. Something is violative of the First Amendment if it's likely to cause imminent violence and produce imminent acts of violence. But the conduct that we saw in those demonstrators, who are obviously anarchists, communists, obviously looking to destroy the fabric of our society, that has an effect. Because when people hear that, and that is deemed to be acceptable in some fashion, or you say, no justice, no peace. So if there's no justice, there will be no peace in the city or the state or the nation. That has a cumulative effect that is destructive, corrosive to who we are as a people, and unfortunately sometimes results in the kind of brutal, shameless, shameful, disgusting attack that we saw yesterday. I've represented the families of dead police officers in this city for many, many years. And so the pain that they're feeling, that we're all feeling in this city today and in this nation, is incalculable. I mean, I wanted to come and talk to you about this morning. That's how much it hurt me and affected me. So we have a First Amendment, but we have bounds in a civilized society as well.
You're a student of history, Peter. We often talk about this. You've referenced the Brandenburg case. Tell us a little bit about that. Why is the threshold there?
The threshold is high, and it's been evolving in terms of constitutional history. We have a robust First Amendment. The presumption is that you can pretty much say anything you want, unless it's going to cause imminent violence. We're at a time in our society when people are saying reckless, horrible things. And we talked about that, and you've just seen that chant. And unfortunately, I think we see a byproduct. I agree with Mayor Giuliani, though, that it's unfortunate, and it's not the language that I would choose in terms of Mayor de Blasio. I don't believe there's blood on his hands. He hasn't caused the death of these police officers. You can disagree with his policies or what he says in terms of how he talks to his child about dealing with police officers in this city, but that's not the right way. We need to reason together. We need to mourn these police officers because they've given their lives, I believe, I'm told, eating a meal in their police car. And a guy comes in the middle of the day up behind them and executes them. We have to condemn that, and at the same time we have to figure out how are we going to get along, how are we going to do better as a society, because are we back to the Black Panthers in the 60s and 70s? There was a term, off the pigs. The only good pig is a dead pig. Are we back to that sensibility in this country? And what do we do as leaders to not fan the flames and to bring conversation and reasoning together? I think Cardinal Dolan is trying to do that in the city today.
You mentioned condemning Pat Lynch, who is he is the leader of the police union. He had this to say, and I want to get your reaction.
Sure. Yeah.
There's blood on many hands tonight. Those that incited violence on the street under the guise of protest, that tried to tear down what New York City police officers did every day. We tried to warn, it must not go on, it cannot be tolerated. That blood on the hands starts on the steps of City Hall in the office of the mayor.
You said you disagreed with him, but you had Rudy Giuliani on, and he said this would not have happened under his watch. These protests went, not necessarily the deaths, but these protests when they're chanting, kill the cops.
Well, you can't stop people from saying words. You can cause them to be held accountable, either civilly or criminally. But I think also Rudy Giuliani said that those are not words that he would have used in terms of characterizing the conduct of Mayor de Blasio. And he's been very critical of past administrations and this one. But at the same time, Pat Lynch is a great union leader, a great police officer. He's speaking up for his police officers. But at some point, he'll sit down with this mayor. He'll sit down with this police commissioner who he's had a good, long relationship with, and I think he wanted him to be the police commissioner, and they'll come to terms on this issue. We can't have a divergence between police officers and civil authority in this country. I understand that they turned their back. That was an emotional reaction. The same emotional reaction we saw in Ferguson, and that stepfather got a pass. I think we need to take a very deep breath, but I think we need to mourn deeply the loss of these police officers and consider their service and understand, as Rudy Giuliani said, that police officers are great in this country. And what we're talking about is a very, very small
So the
issue.
president, on the basis of what you described as a very small issue, has spent an awful lot of time talking about how the police are bad, motivated by bias, et cetera, and they're setting up this Justice Department task force to change American policing.
Where have they been for 6 years?
Well, that's a great question. How should the president respond, do you think?
The president should respond. I think he needs a national address on this. You can't let this get out of control in any community in this United States. And I think, unfortunately, he's failed. He was seen as an historical figure that was going to bring people together in this country. And people are more divided than they ever were in this city. I feel it in the subway. I feel it on the streets. There's a sense of distrust, sense of tension.
Can he fix that? He has 2 more years.
He has to fix it. We are a great people. We are a great, diverse people. It can be fixed.
Peter, you're referencing a new poll out this morning, by the way, Fox News poll, race relations in the United States since President Barack Obama became president. And these numbers are astounding, actually. Among the white community, 65% think that it's gotten worse under his leadership. 55% in the black community think that it's gotten worse under his leadership.
It's really unfortunate. Let me end by telling all of you, my friends, and our friends at home, there's a detective named Stephen McDonald about 25 years ago. He was shot. He was an Irish Catholic. He is an Irish Catholic police officer in this city, a white man. He was shot by a 14-year-old African-American teenager. He's in a wheelchair. He's on a ventilator. He's been on this show. Not only did he lived to forgive the young man, Shavod Jones, who shot him and tried to kill him. Not only did he live, he went on to counsel Shavod Jones in prison, went to church with his grandmother, and incredibly thought about having Shavod Jones live with him in his home after he got out of prison. Wow. So that's who our New York City Police Department are. They're incredibly compassionate, decent, strong people with a great social sense. And this killing is absolutely indefensible and a horror show. We need the president out on this today, the governor of this state out on this today, spiritual leaders out on this today, and I know Cardinal Dolan is out on this today already, trying to bring people together, grieve in a way that's appropriate. What a Christmas it is for these families. The worst. What a Christmas it is. Death in New York at Christmas for great police officers. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Peter Johnson, Jr., thank you very much for that perspective. A lifelong resident in New York City.